Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your cloud, it be raining now. I keep making sound, go another round, I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease.
Hey guys, Coach Dan here. We are week 5 fat loss phase, lower body session coming up. So what we had, and I might have mentioned this in last video, which was a push video. Last week I did some of my lower body workout, which was a stiff legged deadlift on the RDL and some other stuff, and then I couldn't get it all in, and then I had to come back in the afternoon and do some of it afterwards, and I kind of noticed a little bit of discomfort in my hamstring adductor kind of area. So today will be the first time I get a chance to test that out. It has improved already, which is a good sign. It's noticeable but not painful, so we'll see, maybe just a little bit of tightness there, maybe moving will be good for it. But that is all that is noteworthy. So again, process is as normal, getting up early, getting some steps in, working, getting a workout in, all the usual stuff is as usual because we are making the progress that we're after. So we keep on keeping on. So let's look into the workout for today. Now, I am considering making a subtle change, which is actually a comment on one of my lower body videos, must have been from 2 weeks ago, and I don't recall it is, but shout out to this person, and I'll find the name in a second here. So potentially I might start this workout off with our hamstring curls, seated hamstring curls. That is something I have done in times gone by. Now, even though it is a quad dominant or squatting movement that is supposed to be the emphasis, if I start off with the hamstring curl, the seated hamstring curl, there is potential that will help warm me up, and it shouldn't affect the hack squat too much. So I'm thinking seated hamstring curl, at least experiment with it today and see how it goes. Seated hamstring curl first. Then we move into the big bopper, the hack squat. So working on that in the 10 to 15 range, trying to make progress bit by bit. In a fat loss phase, I've found pretty challenging. I'm not sure if other people find progress as challenging in fat loss phases, but for me, it seems to slow down pretty significantly. And then something we added in last week is the barbell hip thrust, which I'm actually excited about. Maybe a general belief about that exercise is pretty girly, but I'm looking forward to trying that and building that up and see if I can get some, cool weights on the bar. Maybe I do a set of 20 with 180 kilos or something like that. Might be a good goal to have. And then what do we have after that? Okay. So hip thrust. We've got the leg extension with the yoga blocks for increased range of motion. We've got a couple of sets of adduction work on the machine adduction or the adductor machine. Some calf raises. And then, get excited about this, everybody. We have a leg raise on the GHD, which I have done previously before, but the reps were getting quite high. Like I was doing upwards of 30 reps, and I was like, this is a bit inefficient. So I've bought some ankle weights, which I'll show you when we get out there. Strap it around the ankle and then do your leg raises. So 2 kgs each. It doesn't sound like a lot, but the fact that it's all the way down around the ankle, I think it's going to be significant. And there is a potential challenge as far as, progression goes there, but at least I can bring them back in because I've always found them to be very effective. So that's going to be our workout for today. Leg workout. Again, morale is high. I'm getting up, I'm doing steps in the morning. I've got to get that in before because I get busy throughout the day and stuff like that. So we keep going. By that nighttime, I'm absolutely knackered, but that's okay because it's close to bedtime. So, all right, let's head out there. Let's hit the seated hamstring curl first and see if that can't help and not hinder the hack squat at all. Change your plans. Hack squats up first due to availability. it is commercial gyms, just the way she rolls sometimes. So the hack squats, my tips for the hack squats run like this, generally speaking. Now, again, everyone's a little bit different, but general tips are feet shoulder width apart, maybe narrow on the hack squat because you can. So I go pretty narrow, toes pointed slightly out. Low down on the platform, or as low as you can manage without going down into the squat and the heels peeling off too far. Like maybe a little bit's okay, but that's kind of general foot placement. Then we'll tuck in here like such. Drop your headphones if you got them. In here like such. Up she goes, controlling the descent. So a couple of seconds on the way down, gentle tap at the bottom, and we're up. Control, and we're up. So in regards to the hack squat, we want to get, I would personally shoot for a decent range of motion, so getting as much knee flexion as you can comfortably, or that feels good for you, feels effective for you. Do you have to go arse on your ankles? No, potentially not, but getting into a good spot and being able to standardize that. So I know that if I squat the same or hack squat the same every time, when I add weight, I'm getting better, right? There is some instance that people will tie a band around here and around the frame of the machine because they might get knee pain at the bottom. There is another group of people who also use that technique to lift more weight. I wouldn't recommend that. And if you can do it pain-free without the band, I would recommend doing that at least part of the time, because you think at the bottom is potentially like a really muscle growth stimulating position to be in. And if you're always banding and helping yourself out during that position, maybe you're kind of limiting yourself there a little bit. So I go, if possible, at least part of the time, do it without the band. If you get terrible knee pain, of course, use the band. But ultimately, set your feet position, control the descent, power up. Let's get jacked. Fucking pussy. Alright, had to pull the hack squats up short because the little thing I'd done to my hamstring kind of leg last week, it feels like hamstring, but it's unusual that it happens on squats because you wouldn't suspect that the hamstring to be super stretched out in that position because of such a flex knee. Anyway, it's uncomfortable on that squat, so I'm going to have to be mindful of that. I've got leg press on the other lower body day. So for the time being, it's just going to be a bit of a workaround. We'll try and figure out what feels good until it kind of irons itself out, which is a bit of a bummer, but that can happen from time to time. I don't get heaps of injuries, like nothing too significant. So we'll just have to play it by ear. It did get better. So like last week I did that and it improved over a couple of days. But just doing that hack squat, you kind of I felt relatively strong on the few reps that I did, but might be best not to kind of push on in that scenario. So potentially I've got leg extension today, so I still get some good quad work in, and maybe there might be a time to kind of switch that exercise out, but we'll see how we go. Anyway, we'll also have to check in with this because your hamstrings are under a bit of tension when you do a hip thrust, so we're gonna have to check in to see if this feels okay or not. So this is going to be my barbell hip thrust. So this is a bit of a different setup than I've had last week. I'm trying to find the best setup that I don't have to move weights around or move too much stuff around, because there is a hip thrust station in the back room, but then there's no weight plates back there, so then I'll be carrying weight plates. So I'm trying to figure out the best of both worlds. So I did this for the first time last week, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to, felt really effective on my glutes, as well as it'd be cool to try and get better at it. So I'm using the bench, thrusting up, squeezing the glutes. Hamstring doesn't feel too bad there, somewhat noticeable, but should be okay. So we'll build up to a weight that's challenging and see how we get on. So last week, I think I did 19 or so reps. I might, do it in a high rep range with a moderate weight and see how that goes. Let's build it up. All right, seated hamstring curl next. So far today, hack squat. Yeah, that hamstringy thing is very unusual because it hurts on things like hack squat. It's noticeable on the hip thrust. And I've just done a couple practice rounds with this off camera, and it's not too bad. So we'll see how we go. Maybe I do it in a moderate or high rep range and see how it feels. And then, this is just going to have to be something that we work around. Other thing is surrounding that hip thrust is, that's uncomfortable. And I'm going to have to work out a way to pad that. And one of the girls here said you can use a mat to make it a bit thicker, and that might be on the cards, but it's just terribly uncomfortable. Like, if you get really strong at that, I imagine that to be difficult. Anyway, seated hamstring curl. The seated variety, potentially a little more effective than the lying variety for the hamstring specifically, because we get into a nice stretched out position. So the hamstrings, being a muscle that pass both the knee and hip joint, it's biarticular, goes past two joints, means that when you have a straight leg, the hamstring is stretched, but when you have a extended hip, a flexed hip, it's further stretched. So being in this position, like a sit and reach stretch, is more stretch, and apparently, potentially that stretch is what makes this one more growth promoting, potentially. All right, so just doing a couple of these, crank it all the way to the top, nice stretch here at the top, pre-stretch position, heels down towards butt, control the way up, heel down towards butt. And that, unusually that doesn't feel painful. But where I felt it during the hack squats was uncomfortable. Anyway, we'll have to figure it out. We'll have to work around it potentially, because I didn't really give it any rest time, to be honest. This is the first lower body workout after the time that I felt that pain that I got with it. So might have to see how it feels for the next lower body workout and just work around it potentially. All right, let's build it up to a weight we're wanting for today, and then we'll go for it. Alright, so far I would rate this workout a solid 4 out of 10. She's not been a good one. Having to work around this little hamstring thingy is a bit of a bummer, but again, you know, that seated hamstring curl, it was good. Hip thrust was good. These things that we can get in at least can still make a difference, especially in a fat loss phase. You just don't want to go, oh, like, I'll pack it in. No, because like packing it in has the potential to kind of, especially while you're trying to lose weight, say to your body, oh, he doesn't need this muscle, he's not using it. So we just got to try the things that we can, even if they're not regular. It is annoying, don't get me wrong, very, very annoying, but we find the things that we can. For my quads, hopefully the leg extension will feel okay. The good thing about this one, over the course of time, I'm getting better, which is fun. And I hit an equal personal best of all time last week. So, and I would say in the time that I recorded that personal best, I wasn't using these yoga blocks. My technique's probably gotten better. So, you know, that's a good thing. And sometimes you got to take the small wins because, yeah, that's not fun to have to work around, you know, a minor injury and stuff like that. Anyway, for me, the leg extension, obviously it's a quad isolation exercise, particularly the rectus femoris, which on the compound movements doesn't get as much love. The other thing that I do is I use these yoga blocks to push my foot this way, stretch my quad out more. I take this all the way back, which opens up my hip, and then also stretches that rectus femoris more because it passes the hip. And then we extend, control the down, and extend. So I can do that fine, pain-free, so that's going to be a good thing. And then, yeah, we'll see what else we can manage. We'll try and, you know, find a couple of things that we can sub in that feel okay. All right, let's go. All right, machine adduction. So we will check in to see if this feels okay or no. Leg extension, good. We're on the upward trend here, so happy with that. Could get the leg extension, performance went well. Quads feel jacked, happy days. So yeah, again, there's not always, you have a minor, yes, maybe it's minor, maybe it's not. There's always workarounds, so you don't have to kind of not show up at all. We just kind of work around it the best we can, and that's all you can do. So machine adduction, again, you think about the adductors kind of running through the inner thigh kind of area, kind of develop sort of up towards the crutch, if you will. So for me, I've always done a lot of quad stuff, not very often done a lot of adductor stuff, so I'm going to add that in and see if it makes a difference as far as how my leg looks. So for this, we're cranking all the way out to the side. I know I'm the second notch for this, so I'm aiming for that each time. Lean all the way back because of the adductors being also a hip flexor in certain positions. Here, leaning back onto the pad versus forward in this will kind of help stretch them out a little bit better. And we're driving in towards one another. So, as I'm feeling that now, could be okay, could be not. It felt, there's something going on there, so I'll have to build up in weight to check in to see if it's going to be doable, or maybe it will be doable but at a light weight, something like that. All right, let's have a few practice rounds and figure it out. All right, so it's a no-go on the machine adduction. Again, we've got all these workarounds to make. I don't think this is going to be a serious injury holding me back, but I also don't want it to escalate. Now, this is quite exciting to me. So this is my GHD leg raise that I kicked back in last week because of availability. So the cables machine were all smashed, and I'm normally doing a cable abdominal crunch here. Threw this back in just due to availability. Now, the downside of doing this, or that issues I've had with doing this in somewhat recent times, is that the rep range had become so high. So like I was doing up 20, 30 reps. And although that can still be fine, I'm more inclined to keep it a little bit more intense or higher weight and keep it lower. Now, this is something that I have gotten where we've strapped this around the ankle. This is a standard ankle weight. These other tools that I've gotten before have had you know, strap a thing to your ankle, like an ankle brace, and strap a dumbbell. Very, very difficult as far as like setup goes, and took ages to set up and get them out, strap them on. Now I've got these ankle weights. It's going to allow me to add weight in an easy way, so I don't have to go to as high rep range. So they're going to be 2 kgs each. Doesn't sound like much, and again, the progression here is a bit limited, but again, like I can use these all the way till I build up to 20 to 30 reps, and then potentially add more or find another way to kind of add some intensity. But so we're going to strap those on in a second. But for now, the GHD leg raise. So the benefit of doing this on the GHD is that we have this curve, right? So this curve is going to line up with my lumbar spine. And if you think about the job of the abs, they're essentially flexing that lumbar spine. They attach at the bottom of the sternum, attach into the pelvis. So they flex them and they kind of pull the pelvis up or pull this down to crunch in here. Now when we use this, we kind of lengthen the abs out over it a little bit easier than if we say did it on the ground. So that's my rationale for that. So what I'll do is I'll kind of line my lumbar curve up with that bend, grab onto here, and then into that position there. So the important thing to keep in mind, or just to focus on while doing it in your mind, is you're thinking about pulling the whole pelvis and the legs are coming along for the ride, not just raising the legs, because that's simply hip flexion, that's hip flexor. If you did it that way, I'm sure you would feel your abs eventually, but I'm inclined again, we lengthen out over this, pull the whole pelvis up like that to best use our rectus abdominis or abs. All right, let's try these ankle weights. This is cool. That's good. So we finish on the leg press calf raise because you can't neglect the calves. So leg press calf raise, solid calf exercise. No real load on the whole system on the overall. So you can just blast the calves without anything sort of, fatiguing you too much. Everyone bangs on, oh, don't worry about fatigue, blah, blah, blah. But in some regard, you've got to worry about fatigue, I think, myself personally, but that's for a future video. So leg press calf raise, a couple initial important points. If you're going to make it a pretty solid weight, this has to come up high. Otherwise, because your feet are down low on the platform, it'll kind of scoop and shoot you out of the seat. And trust me, you don't want that. That's number one. Number two, we want to get a good stretch through the calf. So I'll put half my foot on, which would just be essentially, or at least the ball of your big toe. So get that on the platform. We push up, heels go under for like a nice calf stretch, raising up, feeling those calves. So pretty straightforward, nothing to it. Still same tips as everything. Control the way down. Don't just let it bounce off your calf. Control. It's a short movement. Like there's not a lot of range. There's like a squat versus a squat or something like that. But still control that range that you do have. Feel that deep stretch and then up. Something I'll finish on here as well is going to be lengthened partials to finish. So after I finish my full range, not able to fully extend the ankle, then I'll do some half reps or partial reps. All right, let's finish things off. All right, that's a wrap on the workout, guys. To say I am not disappointed would be a lie, but again, sometimes these things happen. So a little hamstring tweak that I've got hasn't quite recovered, and it's unsuspecting. Like I was expecting it to feel okay on something like a hack squat, but not to be. When I started my first working set, I was like, oh, that's not feeling good. To push on past that is probably not a good idea. But again, then we kind of sometimes, I'm not an injury expert. So essentially my process would come along the lines of like, is there pain as it shouldn't be? Don't do it. So hack squat, did that first working set, kind of felt, that's not quite right. So moved on. Hip thrust, felt okay. So did it. Hamstring curl, unsuspectingly, you would expect that. I mean, again, I'm not an expert, but where I'm feeling, some discomfort and sensation in my hamstring, you would suspect that the seated hamstring, or what feels like my hamstring, should I say, would cause a discomfort. No dramas. Could do leg extension, couldn't do adduction, could do leg raise, could do calf raise. So ultimately, when I look at that all, that's not so bad. So there's, I could be disappointed, but at least we could get some stuff in. And then, now going forward until this, I think I want to let this completely heal up so it doesn't become a thing. Just find the things that we can work around. So if you're getting pain that you shouldn't, anyone can like tough it out for a period of time, try and be a hero, but you just risk long-term issues and long-term injuries. And again, we are playing the long game here. So if you think, I'll just push through, I got to do this, I got to do that, I'd recommend otherwise. I'll find stuff I can do, whilst in my fat loss period here to make sure I can keep the muscles there and hopefully iron it out in 1 to 2 weeks. Boom, then I can come back to normal training. So that's my approach training around injury. It's not like, everything's gone, I'm done, I can't go. It's not like, okay, can't do hack squats, apparently. Can't do machine adduction, apparently. But all the other stuff was reasonable. So just work around it. Any pain that you shouldn't be feeling, if it persists, then you can see a professional. So, all right, and we go into back tomorrow. So that's a good little, silver lining, yeah? Silver lining is the expression. As always, guys, hit the little subscribe here. Be much appreciated. If you want to watch a future video, hit that one there. And as always, it's about progress over perfection. Coach Dan, signing off.